So I was saying, I want to put Jiyu Waza in the right perspective, because a lot of the mistakes you are making in gaining the most benefit from it is that you're working with the modern self-defense model. So the first thing is, obviously, you've made a competition of it, and you're trying to win, and you're trying not to lose. So you already enter a kind of mind that does not lend itself to Jiyu Waza. Do you get the right from the get-go, right when you adopt that mind? Because of the body-mind connection, you've pretty much guaranteed you are not going to get the most out of this type of training. Okay? So we have to not be thinking in terms of Nage is supposed to be the winner, or Uke is trying to make me lose, and I have to, as Naga, try to avoid that. We're not even supposed to be thinking in terms of a kind of any kind of preference and avoidance even beyond the competition of two people. So for example, oftentimes you find that this particular uke keeps creating a certain energy print that causes you to keep doing iriminage over and over and over and over again. And then what happens in your mind is you go, I've done that technique 5 times, I got to stop doing that technique. And now you have a repulsion to that technique, and you have an attraction to something else. What was wrong with iriminage if it was matching the energy that you were dealing with? Do you see that? Because what Jiyu Waza training is really a kind of playing with energy. And the unfortunate part is that our thinking happens in a kind of narrative manner. We like to think that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. The door. And you're actually having, as you're training, this kind of hero fantasy, which goes in sync with that competition that you're trying to win and trying not to lose. So you go, okay, here comes my attacker now. That's the start of it. And then you do the middle part of this movie you're in. And then you find the ending, which ends with you on the mountaintop with your arms in a V, right? Really, what's happening is it's just the nature of the way that we have to practice, that it appears that there's a beginning and an ending. But some systems work with energy transference, and they don't have a disconnect that allows a beginner practitioner to feel that, oh, this is a new beginning. So when we might do some some of the more the knife flows, or we might do some trapping drills, and where does it stop and start? You just keep going with the energy transference, right, until the teacher tells you, okay, switch roles or switch partners, and then you keep working that drill. Why is that important? I think that's important because, one, you're really deluding yourself if you think that you are going to win at Jiyu Waza and then more so that if you do win at Jiyu Waza, that means you're now ready to fight. It doesn't mean that. There's no one-to-one direct correlation between Jiyu Waza and fighting. There is a skill in Jiyu Waza that you need to fight people bigger than you, stronger than you. What is that skill? This kind of energy transference, this kind of capacity to repeatedly neutralize energy, transfer it in a direction that's strategically advantageous to you and at a disadvantage to the other person, right? And the more you do that, the longer you're practicing that, the better. So in fact, when you kind of throw uke, it's almost a very poor training model, because you're not really doing it until they come back in again, right? So there's this kind of double-edged sword with the delusion that Jiyu Waza is some kind of sparring and treating it like sparring, and then the negative side effect that you're not working on the skill that you ultimately want, which is this energy transformation, energy neutralization. Do you understand? So if I'm trying to win, I'm trying to beat my uke, what do you usually see? Well, you don't see energy neutralization. You don't see energy transformation. You see overpowering, right? And overpowering assumes that I can overpower my attacker. It's the exact opposite goal I wanted. I wanted a skill set that allows me to remain martially viable against stronger, bigger people. Well, what are you practicing? A skill set that only works on weaker, slower people. So if you're going to do Jiyu Waza and you're going to try to go as fast as you can and as hard as you can and push through every obstacle, it's really a waste. And you're going to do that if you're trying to win Jiyu Waza every time. I've never seen somebody who wants to win Jiyu Waza and then is actually doing something different than overpowering. So the points that I'm trying to make as I interrupt your own reps is, one, look how effortless it's supposed to be. Two, right? Hey, why did you stop grabbing me because you thought I wasn't ready? Just grab me. I'm going to deal with that energy, right? It's not, was that unfair? Is that what it was? And probably for a competition, it would be unfair. But for an energy transference, energy neutralization drill, that's going to give me a better opportunity to continue to develop that skill, right? Because at my number of years and hours of training, you grabbing my wrist is goofy, right? I want you to run into me from the back and see what you know what I mean? With the other guy in front of me and know where to go, and I'm pressed against the wall. I want to see that. I also, in the interruptions, that effortless thing, okay? What is actually there? What is there spiritually? And what is not there spiritually when I've made a competition out of it? When I'm trying to overpower? Or you can ask, what is there when you have a competition and you're trying to overpower? Ego, fear, non-acceptance. There's no way you can really not want to lose without those things there. There's no way. And the irony is that as you practice this non-acceptance because you're practicing this avoidance, because you're practicing this preference, because you want to win, right? As you're doing all that, strangely, you're actually worse off. Your technique is actually less effective, right? You're forcing things, and you can tell you're forcing them. So your technique gets stalled on the bigger people in your class, or you're getting really tired. You're getting really tired in an energy neutralization drill. Think about that. How much are you heading in the right direction if you're prematurely exhausting yourself? If the drill was, hey, make this about energy neutralization, you should be rested. So we had this, it's the same exact problem from my perspective when we're doing the Jiyu Waza. It's the same exact problem. Rather than learning the craft, the art, as the masters of old, you're stuck on this short goal. So as I said, you can do setups. You can set people up, right? You can shoot for the arm bar and wait for the counter and then hit the triangle. But it just works on idiots. Or you can find a way to have communion with the now and the partner to where, hey, you can't get out of it. I can tell you what I'm doing, and you're not going to get out of it. That's what I hope to point out with how effortless is that looking? And you as a deshi, when you're doing this energy transference, energy neutralization training, it's got to be something that you chase after, and it has to be prioritized over trying to win Jiyu Waza. You can't let yourself think of Jiyu Waza as sparring. It's not. Now, if you were to buy my perspective, and you are trying to work on energy transference, energy neutralization of a spontaneous kind, what drill would you come up with? You would not discover a better drill. Would you find that skill set in sparring? Probably not. There's too much else going on. Too much else going on. Let's just work on this. Right? So it's not the end all of your training, but you still have a responsibility to make sure you're practicing it correctly so that you don't rely on setups and favorite moves, because those only work on idiots. And that's from the martial perspective. From the spiritual perspective, it's even worse. Because that's a fettered mind. That is a preference-seeking mind. That is a resistant mind. An avoidance mind. It is spiritually immature. So it's even more so that when you train in these more live environments, that you really pay attention to the actual goals of the training, that you are self-observant to see if your pride is getting a hold of you and it's making you do things that you shouldn't be doing. I don't know how else to, I can only tell you that. I can point out the logic of it to you. I can even tease you. But you have to be the one to go, I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to stop trying to win Jiyu Waza. Right. And strangely, even things like doing Idimi Naga 5 times in a row, you're not going to do that anymore. Strangely, that doesn't tend to happen because, especially when you allow 3 or 4 uke, they don't all tack the same. Because they can't come in at the same angle and the same time, and the mai is all different. That's why you get so many different variations of stuff you've never even done before, seen before. So Kihon includes this same kind of thing. You are, by architectural design, supposed to find the way of taking this prescribed energy, transfer it, neutralize it, transfer it. But because it's been prescribed, it misses something. It misses exactly what you guys are struggling with. And that is that spiritual side. And if you look at your own training, for example, you can do kokyo. If we're doing Kihon Waza Kokyoho, you can make that work. 9 out of 10 times, you're not going to push on their neck. You know what I mean? You're gonna find the blend and get it to go. But Jiyu Waza, all of a sudden, we start shoving people's faces instead of letting them in. Why is that? Because there is that spiritual component. There is a requirement to not have an avoiding, resisting spirit. To accept what is happening is necessary to begin a neutralization. Think about it. If you're practicing a preference and you're then practicing an avoidance, then you are practicing a rejection. In some way, there's something wrong with this energy. And you need it to stop now. You need to go here now. Instead of going, I'm going to let it go where it wants to go till it stops, till it disappears. Do you see? And then that's where I find the Suki and the Kuzushi. Then I find the Shikaku, and I drop my weight in the Shikaku, and presto magico. Everything happened, and I didn't do anything but let it happen. That's not a purely technical thing. That is not a purely architectural thing. That is primarily a spiritual thing. Take those same descriptors and apply them outside of your Aikido class. This crap is getting me. The boss and the job and my family. Right? If you can experience all that with no repulsion to it, with an acceptance, to let it run its course until it just is neutralized. That's not a technical thing. It's a spiritual thing. It's all done with invisible, intangible things. And that is at the heart of Jiyu Waza. So when we're doing Jiyu Waza, and in essence, we change this to a kind of poor man's Kihon Waza, that I just reset over and over really fast. Do you get it? Then there's no point to doing Jiyu Waza. What I want to do instead is do Jiyu Waza, learn Jiyu Waza, and then go back and do my Kihon like it is Jiyu Waza. We have it backwards right now. We're trying to make our Jiyu like it's Kihon, and we want it the other way around. We want our Jiyu Waza to be this spiritual practice, and that's exactly what I take back into Kihon. And then there is no difference. Kihon is Jiyu, Jiyu is Jiyu. We don't want Kihon's Kihon and Jiyu's Kihon. We don't want that. So as I said, you guys have come a long way. But, we're not really freezing. Remember the freezing days and you get pushed into the wall? You remember that? Okay, that's not really happening. But we're still forcing. And philosophically, structurally, the lack of action is very much the same thing as a forced action. It's not fitting. It's not accepting. It's not using what's there. Okay? So, you have to be the one. Just like in Newaza. When we're rolling, we're not competing. You're doing energy neutralization, energy transformation. So, you feel them pulling on your arm or whatever. Hey, give them the freaking arm. See where it takes you. It's very low level to try to save that arm because something terrible is going to happen, especially in training. There's always a counter. And you're never going to learn that kinesthetically if you're always trying to stop things from happening. Get yourself in trouble situations. So you learn this is not a trouble situation. It's only a trouble situation when I try to not get in it. That's when I made it a trouble situation. Before that, it's just energy, and everything's energy. I can use everything. So as you guys are going to keep doing these drills, what? Give me a pointer, Sensei. All right. Hey, if something's pushing on you, don't keep pushing on it. Go back to your basics. Harmonize yin and yang. If it's pushing on you, what is that? Yin or yang? Yang. So what do? Yin or yang? Yeah. Okay. If there's a void, right? I noticed a lot of times you guys have someone sort of off balance. It's very strange how it gets all jacked up. So the yang is pushing on you, then you push back on the yang. Then they're like about to fall and you stay yin. It's like, take a bigger entry. Irimi. How many times do I have to say it? Irimi. Homolateral throw. You guys will not enter into that freaking spot. It's very strange, isn't it? Right? You know how it is. The universe is always fucking with us. So if you can keep entering, hey, keep freaking entering. But if it's pushing on you, Tenkan. And you don't need 2 Tenkans for anything. Let's just make that footnote right here. So if I don't need two, because if I tenkan, then they're yin now. They were yang, I tenkan, they're now yin, I can now enter. Don't get confused. I keep tenkanning. That's my Anakin Skywalker. I'll just try spinning, that's always good. Right? No, it's not. Because now you're just doing crap over and over. And really, why are you doing that? Because you're stuck. And really, why are you stuck? Because you're trying to avoid something. So you don't keep doing 2, 3, 4. You can't keep expecting people to run around you. Just because we said it's an energy transference drill. Okay? If you do one tenkan, you'll have your yin space and you'll go through it. Got it?
Right.
So, but start there. So yeah, okay. What else do I know? Well, let them in. Let them in. Stop stopping them. Let them in. Your irimi, your yang reversal is entirely conditioned by your yin space. If my tsugiyashi, my shuffle step, has a range of 6 inches of penetration, that's going to mean more if I let them in further than if I stop them and keep them out. Stop them and keep them out, you might have 2 feet. You might be like a 6 foot something and you can get 2 feet of tsugiyashi. It probably won't be enough. You have to let them in. And that takes us right back to the beginning. Not letting them in is resisting, is rejecting, is avoiding, is preferring. Let them in. Who cares if they come in? You're not trying to win. You're trying to transfer energy. So if I'm trying to neutralize it, I have to let it complete itself. If I stop it, I'm contesting it. So you have to let them in. Tell yourself in your head something that helps you. I used to actually tell myself, welcome, welcome, like I was opening my front door. Welcome to my house, welcome. Sometimes I would do my vampire voice. Welcome. I played the vampire in high school. Welcome. So in my head I would have that because I could feel myself trying to stop them. Do you see? So it helps. Well, welcome, and open the tenshi nage up. Open the kokyu hole up, right? That way they're not standing straight up when now you're trying to accelerate them. First of all, how many times have I said there is no freaking step backwards back break fall? That's a beginner back break fall. All falls on someone's back is them going forward. Well, we're not doing Kihon, and it's not slow, it's Jiyu Waza, so bring those people forward, let them go forward. You don't accelerate someone backwards, and then they fall. You let them forward, and you stop their head, and their feet keep going forward. So try to let them in. So far, I'm not going to push on what's pushing on me. I'm going to match yin to yang, yang to yin. If I'm being pushed, I'm going to tenkan. If I can, I'm going to enter. I'm going to enter as far as I can. And I'm going to let them in. I'm going to welcome them in. I'm not going to try to stop them. I'm not going to win Jiyu Waza. I'm going to experiment and play with energy. I want that skill.